Now, though, we'll start with an incredible story in regards to the Carabao Cup final on Sunday, which is live on talkSPORT. Chelsea could strike a deal with UEFA to serve a ban from European competition. What about this? In order to save money, it's been reported. And they will qualify for the Europa Conference League qualifying rounds if they win the final against Liverpool. John is now for more on this, football finance expert Kieran Maguire. Kieran, very good morning.
Morning, Kieran.
Morning, guys. How are we doing?
Well, this is an interesting one, Kieran. Tell us more.
Well, if we take a look at the Conference League, you don't generate very much money from it. So from Chelsea's point of view, by the time they play players bonuses for qualifying, if you took the cost of travelling to the matches, and also from if Chelsea are hosting matches at home, they're not going to be able to go and charge top dollar. If you've no disrespect, but if you've got the second best team in Albania coming to Stamford Bridge on a Thursday night, you're going to have to go and sell tickets for a tenner. So Chelsea are right at the limits of FFP, and it's even harsher under the UEFA regime. So they might be better off not qualifying for the competition or doing the same as Milan in 2019, self-reporting themselves, taking a one-year ban, and then perhaps focusing on trying to get into the Champions League next season, as opposed to getting a compulsory 2-year ban for breaching the rules.
Of course, Champions League is big bucks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we take a look at Manchester City last season, they made around about 135 million euro.
Wow.
We're extending the Champions League next season, of course. We've now got the Swiss model. So you've got one home match guaranteed, potentially two, new sponsors coming on board. By the time you factor in bonuses from sponsors and gate receipts, you could be looking at 200 million euro from a successful campaign.
Kieran, how are we looking for the positions next year? Because there was a lot of talk about it could be 5 places for the Champions League, which would be a massive bonus for certain clubs who can get that 5th place. So is that still the case, or is it still going to be the 4?
No, I think it's neck and neck between the Premier League and the Bundesliga. I think you could end up with this very surreal situation at the end of the season where Manchester United fans, let's face it, they hate Liverpool and Manchester City most of all. They could be cheering on Manchester City to win the Champions League and Liverpool to win the Europa League to make sure that the 5th place gets them into the Champions League next season.
Just a quick one on Chelsea again. When do they have to make that decision? Because obviously there's a lot of football to be played, and we know the prize money in the Premier League, so they're not going to start resting players not to get into the Conference League, are they? So you have to come out with a statement saying, look, we're not going to be, whatever happens, where we finish in the league this season, if we are in that Europa, we ain't going to be in it. Or...
Well, we'll know more after the Cup final, Carabao Cup final, won't we?
Yeah.
They win that.
Well,
Kevin, go on, Kev.
What's most likely to happen is that they say, well, we think we've exceeded the limit, and they go and self-report themselves in the same way that Milan did in 2019. Milan didn't want to play in the Europa League. They were concerned they could get a 2-year ban, so that they effectively said, right, we're handing ourselves in at the station, took the lower sentence, and then they qualified for the Champions League the following season.
Yeah, Kieran, let's move on to Everton, please. Their appeal against October's 10-point deduction still ongoing. Fans are still raging. Manager Sean Dyche says he wants it solved by the end of the month. Is he hopeful, rather, or could this happen? Will he get a verdict?
I think there's a very good chance that we will have the verdict by the end of the month, and it's absolutely essential, not just for Everton, but for the other clubs in the relegation zone as well. Everton go to Brighton tomorrow. They don't know if their 10 points deduction gets reduced to 6. Sean Dyche might say, well, we're better off just trying to get a point at Brighton. If it's maintained at 10 points, then they need to go for a win. It's exactly the same for Burnley. They're going to Palace this weekend. How should Vincent Kompany set the side up? So all the clubs down the bottom, it's only fair that they know the position in the table as early as possible.
Yeah, it's do you know what? It's just the timing, isn't it, Kieran? You look at Everton, you look at City, I know it's complicated, it's not straightforward. I just wonder if it's all worth it. Just let people spend what they want.
Well, there is a case for that. We've seen the difference that Abramovich's riches made to Chelsea and that of Mansour to Manchester City as well. You don't find the fans complaining. You don't find the manager or the players complaining. And the owners are quite happy to incur the losses. So there is a view that in any other business, you let people spend what they want. Why not the same in football?
We shall see. Look, thank you, Kieran. Thank you very, very much for that. It is a can of worms, Ray, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, look, we don't know what's going to happen with Man City. Again, they had the top lawyers looking at it and trying to see how they get out of it or do what the best is for the club.
By the way, let's make it clear, we're not having a go at City
No,
here,
not at all.
Because some City fans say, will you put the ball away, stop whinging. I'm not whinging, it's just people want to know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, well,
and what's going to happen, that's all.
And the Everton fans, obviously, they've showed their discomfort with the decision. They've had 10 points. One of the games, they don't know what they're doing in the Premier League. So, look, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Everton. But as a player, Al, you've just got to go out and try and... I know, I can see what Kieran's saying there. Sometimes you can go out for a point instead of for all 3 points if they've got that only 6 points or whatever it's going to be. But you just got to go out with that winning mentality and try and win every single game and see where it takes you. But... yeah, it's got to be a decision sooner or later, surely.
Yeah, Kieran Maguire there now. In his first interview, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he vowed to knock Manchester City off the perch after his partial takeover of Man United was complete. He also promised fans that their voices will always be heard by the board, and doubled down on plans to regenerate the area around Old Trafford with a brand new Wembley of the North. Can you see that happening, Ray?
Well, that's what
would
they've
it
got
not
to
be
try
better
and
in
do.
Birmingham, or I don't, if you're going to build a new stadium, why not? And look for a bit of help with the finances as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive job for him now at Manchester United. But to be fair to Manchester United now, they're creeping up the league quite nicely. Have you noticed? They look like they had no chance.
Absolutely.
Now, I think they're only 3 points behind Spurs now. So there's still lots of games to play, and they're coming. They're decent form. But yeah, massive job for Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and let's see how he does. I mean, it might take a few years to get it right, but. Manchester United, a massive club around the world. They've got the support. They've got everything going for them, and it's just getting that right. People
balance
in the
on
right
the pitch.
places, and whether you have director of football, the right man, and all that sort of stuff. That if they can get that right, then I'm sure they'll be a force again very soon.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.